Director is the Honorable Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, our Minister in the Presidency, and it's my responsibility tonight, ladies and gentlemen, just to indicate that we have our final sitting of Cabinet of our government, which I assume would be the final one near the end of the year. I'm sure you're all feeling the steam towards the end of the year. Our Cabinet has taken significantly longer today. The Minister is still at Cabinet. She is hoping to join us toward the latter part of the evening, but felt that we should make a start because folks are all here already. So on behalf of the Minister in the Presidency, I would like to say apology for now, with a very sincere hope that she'll be able to join us before the evening is out. Our Director General, who's acting, Ms. Nomonde Mnukwa, my colleague, I'm sure most of you in the room would know, is the government spokesperson who deals with the statement of Cabinet. So while Nomonde has joined us here and she'll hopefully give some remarks on behalf of Minister just now, she herself is tied up in the Cabinet meeting. So I was saying to the Excellencies there, you've got the booby prize. He's not bad, eh? Cass? The booby prize, me? All right, you didn't get the joke, never mind. You guys are a really hard, what's the word? A tough crowd, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of Zimbabwe, Mr. Hamadziripi. Dave, I hope I'm okay with that one. Minister Plenipotentiary, Mr. Dube, if you were here, I didn't spot you yet. The High Commissioner of the Republic of Mauritius and a good friend to the SADC Awards, a repeat visitor, His Excellency Dr. Luchman. Lovely to see you, Doc. Let's give him a nice shine there. And His Excellency the High Commissioner of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Veko Ngiwete. Vekio, is that close enough? I'm terribly sorry, sir. I should have rehearsed more. And then, of course, the Deputy Ambassador of the People's Republic of Algeria, Madame Jamila Aishouf. Can we just give our Excellencies who are with us tonight a wonderful word, South African welcome, with my sincere apologies for struggling on the surname there, Vekio. It's also my great privilege to welcome a very esteemed colleague, someone with whom I've shared a great journey in the last 18 months. Also, I was acting as the DG and government spokesperson for the first 6 months of this year, and I assure you it's no easy ride. And in that 6 months, we had the great pleasure to launch our Border Management Authority under the leadership of a very esteemed colleague, a very capable public servant, Dr. Mike Masiapalo, who is the CEO and the Commissioner for our BMA, Border Management Authority. And this is the gentleman in the front here. I'm sure you can recognize him. Mike, welcome to you. Can we give Mike a nice round of applause, please? And friends, I was just saying to the doc that the word hit the ground running gets used very liberally in the English language. But in the case of doc here, it's a literal meaning. And I think the BMA, as you've all seen, has really hit the ground running. And we're very, very grateful for the work they're doing, and also that we share each other's habitat in Tidimosetso House. So Dr. Masipiato is going to share a few remarks with us later. Obviously, issues of security, issues of integrity, issues of doing things within the law are very critical to the overall stability of not only our region, but of the Vision 2063 of our African Union. And therefore, the work that Mike and his team are doing is going to be fundamental to a lot of the work that all of us are doing in SADC and also in the communication work around SADC. So I'd like to put that to you. And to the members of the media who are here, it's a challenge, and I'll reflect on that in a minute as I welcome you, Program Director, is that there are stories out there. There are stories out there. And as Ambassador David was saying earlier, he still feels the need that we need to tell those stories ourselves. We need to be the ones telling the world about ourselves. And that's what the SADC Media Awards is about. I'm very delighted now, and I haven't met you, my new colleague, Ms. Baiti. Can I just see, by show of hands, my new colleague, Ms. Tintswalo Baiti? Are you here from the MDDA? Our newly appointed CEO, my colleague. I haven't seen her, but anyway, maybe she'll join us. Welcome to you. And above all, as well, to our sister, our partner, our friend, and very esteemed international partner, Mpumi, over there from Brand SA. Ms. Mabuza is here tonight. Are you here with Ste? So, colleagues, can you welcome my colleague there from Brand South Africa, our partner entity, and there's Ms. Mabuza. And Mpumi, I'm sure, is known to everybody here. She doesn't need a big introduction. You know, you make friends in life, and when going gets tough, the tough often get going. But it's tough people who can stand even the trickiest thing. And we started a journey a few years ago with the IDC, with a very esteemed gentleman behind the ambassadors there. And I'd like to invite all of you to welcome and thank Tsepo Ramodibe, my partner. Tsepo, can you please stand so we can see you there? Please give him a round of applause. We've had to do some juggling in the last 48 hours because we had a few logistical issues. But when a relationship is intent on a win-win, win-wins happen. And I really want to thank the IDC, Tsepo, immensely for your commitment to the SADC Media Awards. I assure you that the young man who I'll introduce you all to later, who's now acting as the director in this space, has got plans to tighten some of our screws in the new year. So, Tsepo, I think you'll find us well-oiled in the new year. And then we hear guests, if I've missed any other guests from our diplomatic corps, from the members of the media, from our friends and stakeholders of the SADC Media Awards, welcome to all of you. And forgive me if I didn't have your name on my list, but I welcome you and I want you to have a restful evening. Kaya, I'm almost tempted, even though it's still the early part of the program, to say to the gentlemen, please, if you want to start removing your clothes, your jackets, please do so. And please just stick to the jackets, gentlemen. We don't need to see any six-packs or anything like that. But it's been a heat wave, I believe. But welcome to you, the guests. But at the core, ladies and gentlemen, at the core of our gathering tonight is a celebration of people who are passionate about this thing called narrative, telling stories, accounting to citizens, sharing both good and positive and sometimes candid, honest, and of course on occasion not so factual, where we have those road humps, information. And it's my very, very deep and sincere pleasure, Program Director, to welcome every single one of the members of the media here tonight, who are firstly our guests from the media, from different media formations in broadcast, print, and community, but above all, and very critically, to welcome the members of the National Adjudication Committee of the SADC Media Awards, without whom none of this could happen. And unfortunately, Amina Ferenza, our chair, is unwell tonight, and of course we hope that the squad there are going to be tweeting her or texting her or whatever to tell her that we're wishing her a speedy recovery, but they are very, very capably led by the Deputy Chair, my dear friend and brother for many years, public broadcaster, Nyana Molete. Nyana, could I ask you to just stand quickly so that we can all admire you? A gentleman with a long footprint in public broadcasting. And that being said, can I invite all of the NAC members to stand up and shine for a moment so I can thank you all and welcome you? Can the NAC team please stand? So Simon, where are you, sir? Let's give Simon a round. He drove a long way. Nell, is Nell with us? I didn't see her yet. No. Nompumelelo, let's shine. She makes sure that the community side is kept on the radar. And where is the man of the moment? Sepo, where is he? Tembi, is Tembi Kile with us? Not, yeah. Faz, and the Excellency, Madam from Algeria, we have, I hope there'll be some Francais with our guest next door to you there, in that lovely language I was hearing earlier this evening. Ms. Dahl has been one of our long-serving members as well on this team. Gugu? Gugu didn't come? Okay. Faiza? I thought Faiza was on her way because we'd arranged the travel. Nomazul? Not? And Livo? So, and Livo was our former chair in the period gone by, and we're very grateful. Colleagues, can you give this team a round of applause, please? And I'll tell you why. Thank you guys very much. Without the commitment of these professionals, voluntarily, from their own passion for media, Chair, we wouldn't have a SADC Media Awards. I can thank Mr. William Baloy, Temba, Mpo, other colleagues here in GCIS for the work we've done. But without this team, ladies and gentlemen, and to your excellencies from particularly the SADC partner countries, if we don't have this caliber of citizen who want to work with us, hold us accountable as well as government to the administration of this decision that was taken in 1996 to have a SADC Media Award, we wouldn't be where we are today. So I really am giving you my deep gratitude. You are inspiration to our country, you are inspiration to our region, and you are inspiration to our continent. We recently hosted the African Union Fellows, which is a new second annual iteration of a Media Fellowship Award that the African Union Communication team have put in place to build the continental media footprint. We're going to be doing some more work together this year. And I think it's very, very critical that we dovetail, because I was speaking to both of the ambassadors on our border here. We do want to cross-pollinate. Ambassador David, we want to cross-pollinate so that our regional structures and our teams can learn and build off of each other. So friends, if I missed anybody out, I apologize. I want to just tell you, Program Director, as I do my quick word of welcome, we got a bit of a punch in the nose this year, South Africa. But guess what? I can tell you with all sincerity that we had 23 entries this year, which was 19 in 2022, 23 this year, Nyana, if that's correct. We went to the regional adjudication in June, and we were given a bit of a shying, beating. And when I look at the colleagues from other countries, I think it was Angola, Mozambique, Nyala, themes around growing the value chain in agro-processing. The canal that's being built in Angola to make sure that Namibia, Ambassador, and Angola benefit from the Kafu Canal in drought-stricken areas in your region. The Lobito Corridor as a small economic development area. And then this whole UNESCO project around the Congo Kingdom. I think we can give our neighbors a solid round of applause for really putting stories on the map that give expression to what the SADC Media Awards are about. And with those words, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you. I want to say to you that the SADC Media Awards tonight, I really hope you can have some fun. We hopefully will be joined by a few colleagues who had some logistical problems from Joburg. But I do want you to have some fun tonight, network, share great ideas. Very grateful for the wine tasting we had there by the young lady who's not only a wine maker, but a fashion designer. That's a first for me. So Kaya, I think we got to go and get ourselves a golfing outfit from that young lady. So with those words, I'd like to say thank you very much. SADC Media Awards 2024 will be launched tonight by, I assume it'll be our DG. And I really am appealing. Let's push it. We can do better. An increase of 4 is not bad, but it's not great. So let's go out here. And I'm hoping you, Program Director, are going to be my ambassador this year, no? Because you're in the right space to make sure that every person knows And I always say this every year in this part of the program. I dream for the day for young South African people to be selling those clothes in a store in Algiers on the beachfront. For young Algerians to have their pharmaceuticals being sold here in South Africa. For young people from Mauritius to be coming to South Africa for cultural heritage exchanges and training in our universities, because we do need to broaden our francophone context in the western region of our continent. For our young Namibians to be exchanging, well, I hope, Ambassador, it's going to be some beer. I don't know if they still do German beer in Namibia, but exchanging products. And Ambassador from Zimbabwe, the world is our oyster. The relationships and the issues of potential exchange between our young people, the sky is the limit. And the creativity of that is up to the young people. And people of our generation, and well, some of you are a bit older maybe, a bit younger, but of our generation, it is our responsibility to pave the way for that future. And I believe that by affirming the people, now I'm not going to speak to that tonight, someone else will, by affirming those South Africans that proved victorious in our South African chapter, we are doing that small contribution to paving that way for our young people. So, Program Director, thank you for that. I tried to include a little bit of a few other areas from the Minister and my closing remarks because of the change in the program. But I hope you feel welcome. I hope you can see the context. And I really hope you have a good time tonight. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think Michael really gave us a very incredibly invigorating welcome speech for all of us to be comfortable, but also to understand the importance of tonight, that it's all about recognizing the media fraternity within the SADC region to continue writing those stories. And I totally agree with him that there's quite a lot that can be done by the journalist, albeit with some challenges in the newsrooms, you know, with the resources getting depleted and stuff, but we remain very cautiously optimistic. So if we may just kindly once again give him a very rousing round of applause. And as we just move along with our program, at this point in time, I'll call upon the National Adjudicating Committee Deputy Chairperson, Mr. Nyana Molete, just to give us a snapshot and a sense of the journey of these awards. I mean, we know that they came into existence in 1996, and we're going into 2024 now. So I think it speaks to the longevity of making sure that we recognize excellence, especially within our region and far beyond Africa, especially because if we talk about a common future within the African continent, you have to include all the regional groupings. So at this point in time, if Mr. Molete may just come forward. Thank you so much.
As you've heard, my name is Nyana Molete. I'm only the Deputy Chair of the National Adjudication Committee. Our Chairperson, Amina Frenzy, is not well today. And one other member of our committee, Neo, is also in hospital. So those who believe and do pray, please pray for them. Pray with us for them so they recover as soon as possible. The SADC Media Awards are a very important tool in terms of the region and the integration of the region. One of the things that we look for when we judge these entries is whether an entry that you've submitted talks to the integration of the SADC region. And as you know, journalism and journalists have amazing power to influence thoughts. In some cases, they even influence people's actions. But as far as the SADC Media Awards are concerned, what we want to see is us as members of the SADC community highlighting issues important to our region, highlighting issues about our region kind of integrating. As Michael has said earlier, we have not won for the first time in many years. South Africa has not won the regional competitions. But I think it's a good thing to an extent that South Africa is not there. When we win, and we win all the time, there's a tendency for us to be complacent, and there's a tendency for us to become or feel that we are entitled to this thing. So the challenge is out there for all of us in South Africa to make sure that we hoist the South African flag very high where it belongs, so that the next 5 years we sweep the table. So I think this ought to be kind of a motivation for us, a motivation for those media practitioners in the room to really think about what stories you can do to illustrate the integration, the progress that is happening in the region, or the lack of progress that is not happening in the region, and also give reasons, for instance, why there is lack of progress, because it's easy to identify problems, but it's also very important to highlight solutions. So we are very grateful to the members of GCIS for always holding our hands when we go into these battles, because it is not easy. When we go, for instance, to the regional adjudication meetings, we do go into battle. And I want to thank the GCIS team for all the groundwork they do for us, all the preparation that they do on our behalf make our work extremely easy. I had prepared a speech, but I think I'll stop here. And thank you very much, all of you, for being here. And I would like us, all of us, to encourage any journalist that you know to become part of this family, enter as many stories as possible. Please be our ambassadors, encourage your journalists, or encourage journalists. I'm sure you've got many as friends. Encourage them to enter these competitions. And by so doing, we are not just competing for the sake of competing. We are telling stories and giving information about our lives and about our future as a region and as a people. Thank you very much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, very incredibly wise words there from Mr. Moletes. It really just gives us a sense about the importance of tonight, but throwing down a gauntlet to all media practitioners within the SADC region, whether it's radio, photography, and many other streams, to really just rise to the occasion and make sure that they do enter, because, you know, the prizes are very lucrative. You know, I think it's about $2.5 US. That's a lot of money when you convert it into rands. So at this point in time, we're just going to call upon the BMAs in the building. So they say, Michael said, you know, they really just hitting the ground running and doing quite a lot. So, Doctor, this is for you, Dr. Mike Masiapati, to just come forward and tell us about your work as a very key institution in our country.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. No, that is a bit inspiring. Let me start by appreciating the opportunity from our executive ambassador at large, Mr. Kaya Kumalo. I call him as such, particularly because of the great work that he does from the media fraternity, but mainly engaging on the issues relating to the continent, relating to the sub-region SADC, but also talking about the work that we do inside the country. Let me also acknowledge the excellencies present here and all of the various media practitioners who are in our midst. As already introduced, colleagues, I am given one of the tasks that the colleagues consider it to be unenviable, which is considered a bit difficult, but indeed it is not difficult. Maybe let me start by indicating, colleagues, that the establishment of a border management authority in South Africa, it is something that we are kind of hoping that it is to be replicated in the continent as it is actually practiced by other jurisdictions of the world. I think all of us can fairly agree that applying a multi-agency approach in terms of border management, it is a difficult task. It is a difficult task because departments will then send officials sometimes into the bushes out there to go and actually effect what we call border management. So at the end of the day, you find that in many instances, those officials get abandoned and they are not even properly supported. And ultimately, the work that they do out there completely gets ignored. But at the same time, you will also find that applying a multi-agency approach in this particular environment makes even interjurisdictional engagement very difficult. You will find that if we are to engage with our neighboring colleagues, there is some delegation of 50 individuals from each of the respective countries representing their individual organizations, entities, and departments. And you then get to realize it becomes difficult to even get to a very basic decision, primarily because we are fairly scattered, as it were. And therefore, we consider a border management concept, which is basically a single authority responsible for border management, to be a better approach, primarily because it also simplifies the engagements, even when we do so with our immediate and neighboring countries and the world. Now, what is the Border Management Authority? Colleagues, in South Africa, we had around 7 different departments that had fairly been deployed in the border environment, implementing a multiplicity of laws, developing a number of standard operating procedures, and I can tell you a lot of fragmentation in the environment, a lot of silos in the environment, and ultimately corruption just becomes facilitated. So the BMA came into the environment and say, we do not need all these departments in this environment. We need to create this single authority under a single command and control that should be able to do one of the most critical functions, and that is to facilitate and manage the legitimate movement of persons and goods in and out of the country's ports of entry, as well as the border law enforcement area. So we have started operating officially in the Republic from the 1st of April 2023, and we had been launched by the President on the 5th of October 2023 as the third national law enforcement authority in the Republic. Now, what is the key objectives that we want to achieve? One, there has been a talk for many years of us in SADC and us in Africa realizing what is called the integration of our economics. And of course, if you are to find trucks queuing on the corridor towards a port and having to stand there for 2 weeks, having to stand there for a week, primarily because there is a lot of bureaucracy in the port of entry trying to facilitate the movement of trade, to the extent that trucks stand there for 2 weeks, that cannot enable us to achieve what we call the regional economic integration. Global or continental, we talk about Africa Continental Free Trade Area. We talk about improving the instance where Africa trade amongst itself. But I can assure you now, we will not be able to even achieve that if we still continue in the manner that we've been doing border management. So to that extent, we have started the journey, we have started to engage, and we actually hope that in no time, we should be able to bring efficiencies in the environment in a way that balances security and trade in the movement of persons and goods between our jurisdictions. In many instances, we do not have issues as those of us who are law-abiding. We then have a problem with those that are bringing criminal elements or criminal activities in the environment, and they end up creating some kind of challenges among us. In actual fact, that on its own is not necessarily supposed to be the case. We are for the same objective. We are all in the same continent. We are to make sure that we become one. And therefore, the role of yourselves in the media environment, in the work that we do in the border environment becomes very critical. It is very much easy, by the way, to sit in the urban centers and do reporting on the basis, for example, of whatever that we get. But it is actually more fulfilling to get out there into the border environment and be able to go report the reality of the situation and be able to see things live on the ground and be able to ultimately pronounce on the issues and the work that we do in those environments to make sure that at least we are able to integrate ourselves. Ultimately in the sub-region SADC, but ultimately in the continent as it were. Therefore, let's continue to work together and let's continue to respond to the requests as we go into the festive operations now. As an example, sitting up there, the ambassador is here in Beitbridge. Sometimes it gets to be almost 45 degrees, and be able to make sure that we facilitate people as fast as possible to cross over and go see their families and be able to facilitate them as they come back in January as they are supposed to be. So it is very good that you are also able to start reporting on the work that we do as the Border Management Authority and ultimately contribute in the overall realization of our sub-region SADC and ultimately the ultimate cohesion of the continent as it is supposed to be. Thank you very much, Kaya, and thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you so much there, Dr. Mike. You certainly do have a very colossal task of making sure that South Africa's borders are well secured. Well, oftentimes they do say journalism is about results. It's about affecting your communities or your society in the most progressive way. So I think tonight really bears testimony to that particular issue. So as we move along with our program, you know, they look after South Africa's brand and hoist the country's flag all over the globe. So that's brand South Africa. So it gives me a pleasure to call upon here the General Manager for Stakeholder Relations. That's Ms. Mpumi Mabuza. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Diplomatic Corps. I am honored to be here this evening As I've been introduced, my name is Mabuza, and I'm with Brand South Africa. For those of you that don't know much about Brand South Africa, as we've been introduced, Brand South Africa is the entity that's responsible for marketing the country and managing the country's reputation internationally. It's a massive task. And we realized quite early on that essentially it means that we need to ensure that South Africa is able to tell its own story. We had a period and still have now the challenge of the rest of the world telling the story of South Africa, of SADC as a region, of Africa as a continent. And it's important for us to be able to break that barrier and tell our own story. And the only way we can do it is through partnerships with media. Therefore, we have a great respect for media. When GCIS invited us to partner within these awards in some small way, it was really an excited response from our side, because we recognize the importance of celebrating media excellence. Mine is not a long story tonight, Michael. It's just really to emphasize the point that we understand the role that media plays. Media informs us, media entertains us, media can inspire us, and media can sometimes make us scared, and we understand that the role that they play. When you have the opportunity to influence audiences, as media does, there's a certain level of responsibility that comes with it. And those that understand it and ensure that our stories are told in a true manner, with authenticity, that's it. We have a great respect for that. And honestly, we'd like to take this opportunity to honor and celebrate you today, those that are being recognized, those that will enter for the year ahead. It is an important platform. It's a platform that will allow others and the rest of the world to know that SADC as a region really is integrated. We understand what the region has to offer the rest of the world, and will really then inspire not only people within the region but the world. I'd like to thank you for this honor, and I look forward to the rest of the evening. Thank you very much, Michael.
Well, thank you so much indeed for that, Pumi. Very, very wise words there from you. In terms of really fortifying the partnership with the media, especially even in South Africa and beyond our borders as well. So IDC is in the house as well. So at this point in time, Tsepo Ramodibe, the head of comms, it's IDC, to come forward as well. And I know that they do quite an amazing job in terms of making sure that South Africa's economy is well sustained, supporting so many entities. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kaya. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, members of the media, colleagues at GCIS, Mpumi and the team at Brand SA. On behalf of our chairperson, Ms. Busi Mabuza, and our interim CEO, David Jarvis, it's a pleasure to be invited, but also to honor this invite, Michael. Thank you very much. But I think for us is we're honored to be witness. And Michael tells a wonderful story of our partnership, where it started. And ours has been commitment as a patient funder, development funding. Ours is to build and grow organically. So we look forward to seeing how the awards grow to enable our colleagues in the media to tell authentic Southern African, but also African stories. And we've got a good story to tell. From landmark infrastructure development in Lesotho, Mozal in Mozambique, copper mining in Zambia. Right now we're looking at hydrogen economy in Namibia, which is a wonderful story to tell. But behind all of this, behind the investments being made, are jobs, livelihoods, social and economic development. And that's where the IDC's interest lies. We really want to encourage a lot of our journalists not only to tell the story, but dig deeper, look at the social impact, because the story of a SADC at work, critical investments being made, cross-border trade, regional value chains, is something we need to celebrate. So as our colleagues that we at the border management speak to, by bridge, the queues, what most people fail to see come December is what that means from economic activity. That is the lifeblood of Southern Africa's economy. It's mobility, moving goods across multiple territories. So as the IDC, with an established history of investments across borders, our mandate extends beyond just Southern Africa. So we do have a mandate for continental investments in core infrastructure, roads, dams. But we've invested in excess of 140 billion over the last 10 years. That has sustained over 388,000 jobs across the region. Today, our portfolio in Southern Africa and across the continent stands at over 17 billion across critical sectors that drive the economy. So that's the reason we're here, to encourage. And for any journalists interested in seeing this activity, connecting with our partners in development funding institutions across the continent, please feel free to come to Sandton, 19 Fredman Drive, and have a discussion with us so that we can collaborate in ensuring that the Africa economic activity, SADC, Southern Africa integration, is really well understood. Michael, thank you. That's all from me tonight, and thank you for the invite.
Well, thank you so much for that, Tsepo, and very, very encouraging words, especially because we know that there are very harsh economic realities. So reviving our economies within the SADC region is very important. Oftentimes we do talk about industrialization, but also another very key element will have to be peace and security in our sub-region as well, and even beyond SADC region, all over the continent as well. So at this point in time, we're supposed to have the keynote speaker, but I see that the minister is very busy. Quite a lot is happening in terms of the government work. So I'm just going to throw the curveball at you, Michael, since you are very jovial and very outspoken, and you have given us a latitude to do as we please, of course, within the confines of the law. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm going to call Michael. So he does have a very big title. He's a DG, well, a Deputy DG for Intergovernmental Coordination and Stakeholder Management. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Program Director. And I'm not going to be long because many of the things that I think Minister would have been interested to reflect on have been said today already. Program Director, I think the Commissioner started at the root of where we need to be focusing on the things that stop us from flowing well, the things that stop the golden opportunities that exist in our region from happening. And those the Commissioner will tell you, we have a Freight Logistics Crisis Committee, which our President established. We serve there. We are seeing encouraging signs that by dedicated, coordinated, focused effort, you can solve things. So I think the first thing for me tonight, Minister was very keen to really emphasize the issue that in our region, trade and the barriers to a free and open access between us, it's a very fundamental challenge that we must take up. We must take up a deeper understanding of the technical, administrative, social, political, and cultural issues that might be inhibition to that integration that Commissioner spoke about. Because you see, if you look at the global economic situation, the overall deterioration of the people with whom we trade as a region and as a continent suggests to us that we should be doing more intra-Africa trade. It was extremely exciting when we had the investment conference at the beginning of this year, and the commissioner for the African Continental Free Trade area was explaining the progress that we are making. And friends, I was very worried, Tsepo, when you were listing your list. And I want to know, and Temba Tobela, I don't know where you are. Where are you, Tobela? And Mpo, and Nyana and the team. Kaya, this year, we cannot let the infrastructure things that are going on in this region be off of our radar. It seems that there isn't enough enthusiasm and interest in looking at those things that build this relationship, physically in infrastructure, but also in terms of the human, technical, and other factors that we have as enablers. You know? And I'm just seeing now, I'm sure that is somebody I recognize. Sis Nomonde, welcome. Are you going to come forward? Okay. Well, Kaya, you're very lucky to have a very quick change of outfit, if I may say. My colleague, the Acting Director General, is here, who will be able to deliver the remarks on behalf of the Minister. So I'd like to introduce you all to Nomonde Mnukwa, my colleague who's the Acting DG of GCIS. You can give her a round of applause. And she's the government spokesperson and hot off the heels of Cabinet. So I'm going to pause there. But Nomonde, I was just going to step in because I knew you were tied up. But I'm very happy to see that you are here. But the message that I think I saw was one about infrastructure, investment, opportunities that we can seize as a regional family. Over to you, Nomonde.
The tallest lady in the room. Program Director, Mr. Kylie Khumalo from SABC, His Excellency Ambassador David Hamarazipi from Zimbabwe, Minister Plenipotentiary Mr. L. Dube, High Commission of the Republic of Mauritius, His Excellency Dr. P. Vilashman, the National Commissioner and the CEO of Border Management Authority, Dr. Michael Masiapato, the CEO of Igagasi Hat Media Group, Rene Shuttle, the Senior Manager at ITC, Tsepo Ramodibe, the General Manager of Stakeholder Relations at Brand SA, Ms. Mpumi Mabuza, Senior Managers of Government and of GCIS, the Deputy Chairperson for the National Adjudication Committee, Mr. Nyana Molete, and all members of the SADC Media Awards National Adjudication Committee, the SADC Media Awards partners, sponsors, stakeholders, all members of the media, all communicators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I think firstly it is proper that I first table the apology from our Minister in the Presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni. We are both still busy in the Cabinet meeting, and it seems as if we're not going to finish now. So I had to leave to deliver her speech as is to everyone who's in attendance. So colleagues, you will hear me as if you are hearing the Minister speaking. And it's a privilege for me to stand in the feet of the elected MP. We are gathered here tonight to honor and celebrate the national winners of the SADC Media Awards Competition for the year 2023. This prestigious event also serves as an official launch of the 2024 SADC Media Awards Competition to promote excellence in the field of print journalism, radio journalism, television journalism, and photojournalism. Unquestionable, the media is essential to to our society, since it not only keeps the public informed about the latest news developments, but it also deepens our democracy by disseminating important development-related information. Former President Nelson Mandela once said, "A critical, independent, and investigative press is the lifeblood of any democracy." I'm sure you will be reminded of how critical your role is. The press must be free from state interference. It must have the economic strength to stand up to the blandishments of government officials. It must have sufficient independence from vested interests to be bold and inquiring without fear or favor. It must enjoy the protection of the Constitution so that it can protect our rights as citizens. This I add, not the minister. I think it will be good that we all reflect to our Constitution and always remember that we are one of the countries whereby we have freedom of press, and therefore the rights of the media are protected in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, in pursuit of this profound standpoint by Madiba, our constitutional democracy continues to cherish and support media freedom. Our democratic government views the Fourth Estate as a crucial partner in fostering transparency and accountability in the public and the private sectors. And without your contribution and your role that you play in the society, we would lose the essence of our democracy. Let me start by mentioning that South Africa's participation in SADC was guided by the SADC Treaty endorsed by the heads of state and government in 1992. Among other things, the SADC Treaty guides all SADC member states to encourage the people of the region and their institution to take initiatives to develop economic, social, and cultural ties. Actually, we are one nation because we are one in Africa. As an integral part of Southern Africa and indeed Africa, South Africa continues to work towards the integration of the continent to boost both regional and global interests. Our location on the southern tip of Africa has ensured that the country is the gateway to foreign direct investment to the developing world. Since the SADC region remains one of the South Africa's biggest export markets in Africa, we have significant economic interest in the region that are being for structure network, as well as the creation of the necessary capacity to drive the agenda for the regional socio-economic development. Since South Africa joined SADC as the 11th member state in April 1994, soon after attaining freedom and democracy, the country has become very active in the strategic initiatives of the regional bloc. This includes various fields such as transportation and communications, agriculture, trade, mining, and energy. The SADC region is significant to South Africa in terms of various beneficial partnerships. For an example, in June this year, South Africa secured 100 megawatts of electricity from Mozambique, and there was a commitment to ramp it up to 600 megawatts. South Africa, SADC trade continues to play a big role in South Africa's total trade, as 80% of total export to Africa goes to the SADC region. The growth in the South African export to SADC countries has been led by food products, machinery and equipment, and motor vehicles, parts and accessories. To enhance regional collaboration, government encourages all South African
New Kellogg's All-Bran Oats Crunch is packed with goodness.
Based in South Africa and the SADC region and supporting the SADC communication programs and activities. It is important to provide this context to ensure that we work together to make the SADC Media Awards a success. And the topic is Fight for Africa's Rhinos, Protecting Rhinos from Poachers. For the radio category, And the winner is Ms. Renae Mengani. Just to give it a little bit of, and the topic is integration relationship between South Africa and SADC countries. South Africa to import power from other Southern African countries to overcome load shedding. Coming to the print category, the winner is Ms. Vulane Zali. And the topic is Regional Diagnostic Center, National Institute for Communicable Diseases, launched the Regional Diagnosis Demonstration Center in Johannesburg to boost the region's biosafety and biosecurity capabilities. We give all the winners a round of applause. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the annual SADC Media Awards are indeed an important platform for telling the stories and successes of the region. In addition to profiling awards and giving them prominence in radio, television, newspapers, and magazines, I encourage our media to ensure that South African journalists participate to showcase their exceptional work. The Media Development and Diversity Agency, which is to ensure the success and sustainability of the awards. And in closing, as we gather tonight to launch the 2024 SADC Media on the SADC Media Map, I would like to express a special thanks and appreciation to the following sponsors and partners who made this event a huge success. Brand South Africa, do we have any representatives? The Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for finding time in this busy schedule and making it today. It wouldn't be a success if you were not here. I thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Acting Director General Nomonde. And that was a very seamless transition from Michael to Nomonde. So that was a very smooth transition. And I really do agree with the Acting DG. We do need a bit of jubilation. You know, it's about accolades after all. There's got to be cheerfulness as opposed to a very seriousness that we see. So we're reaching this point again where the accolades will be handed out. But maybe to start with this particular part where one of the very hardworking ladies, I mean, she got one of these awards and she's currently away in Dubai. As we know that the climate change talks are underway in United Arab Emirates. So our very first winner will have to be Ms. Vulane Zali from, of course, the print category. So I do understand, though, albeit she's not here, but there's a message that she pre-recorded. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to assist.
And is responsible for coordinating SADC.
I'm a bit of a technophobe when it comes to doing other things. Thank you. So,
good evening. Thank you for...
yeah, it's starting now.
Good evening. Thank you for this award. Thank you for recognizing my work as one of the journalists who are doing great work with the media. Thank you to the South African government. Thank you to SADC, and thank you to Newsday for giving me a platform to tell these important stories that are important for our community.
Like, how beautiful is that? I mean, she's miles away from South Africa, but she took time to record this message for this particular audience. So at this point in time, I'm just going to call the following individuals, the acting DG here at GCIS, to come forward. But before that, actually, hold on. The banner should move here before they come to the stage. So if the colleagues may help me just to move the SADC banner. And I do know that, well, it's kind of dovetailed with my outfit. And you know what? I literally just picked it up without knowing that it's SADC color. I tried, Michael, you see. All right, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the banner is up. It's fairly stable at this point in time. So I'd like to call the acting DG here at GCIS to come forward, Mr. Nyana Molete from NAC as well, the deputy chair there, and also Themba Thobela, the acting director for international media engagement here at GCIS. So if they may just kindly come through here, because it's going to be a handover ceremony. So we're reaching that crunch point where it's going to be really incredibly exciting. Yes. So there's a reminder. So I'll step away. I'll call upon the winner to come here, have some acceptance speech, and then come to the esteemed team here with me. Is that the right chronology? Yes, we got it right. Okay, so once again, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, it gives me an honor to call upon the national TV category winner, that's Mfana Sibili Nkosi, to come forward. And really just give the man like massive round of applause for such a very concerted effort in working so hard. And he's going to have an opportunity to have a word or two. Thank you so much, and congratulations to you, sir.
On behalf of my colleagues who could not be here today, Dr. Sandra Tice, who was the principal author, and I was the co-author of the story, and also Daniel Raquet, our cameraman. These are the guys who are behind the scenes, who never see the glory, but they put life into our ideas. And Dinkim Kize, the venerable one, he also was the second cameraman in this. I'd also like to perhaps recognize and congratulate the other entrants who participated in these awards and their contribution in pursuit of journalism excellence. Our documentary, of course, as you alluded to earlier, portrays a hardened former military guy who finally comes to the realization that boots and guns on the ground alone is not enough and not adequate in his quest to save the critically endangered rhino from poachers. So much to the suspicion and dismay of the anti-poaching establishment, he decides to embark on an unprecedented approach of constructively engaging with one of the known kingpins in neighboring Mozambique. And we follow him through this journey. And, you know, he tries to win the hearts and minds of the actual poachers who do the cruel killing of the animals inside the Kruger Park and other parks around the country. So whether his approach is going to be successful or not, the jury's still out. But what we know he does, whether it's naive or not, he alludes
to the fact that unless indigenous populations in these areas find value in conservation of the animals, this war won't be won. And that's a stark reality that we found in this. And of course, if this comes to pass, then we would have failed to bequeath for the next generations an earth that's worthy of inheritance. Thank you.
Well, once again, congratulations to Mfana Sebile. I mean, he really worked so hard, and we know that rhino poaching is a very pervasive issue, and BMA is really going to have a very tough task in making sure that we keep the poachers at bay all times. So now, another winner that we have, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests from now the radio category. That is Miss Renaye Mongane, and she's based at GCIS Radio. So a round of applause for her. So that's an inspiration. Well, and she will have an opportunity to have an acceptance speech. Congratulations once again, ma'am.
Good evening to everybody. I feel like at this moment my shy personality has been put on a test. But now that we're here, I would like to just really thank everybody, mostly the radio units from GCIS. Dream Team always make dream work. And to that, I just want to say thank you all. I wouldn't have really made it without you all, guys. And it shouldn't start with me and it shouldn't end with me. Thank you.
Sorry, before she accepts, it, we didn't look at where she comes from when we adjudicated. We looked at the quality of the work that was produced, just to make things clear. There was no underhand, nothing.
I think that was a fair clarification, Mr. Molete. Well, once again, congratulations to all the winners who bagged the accolades. A massive round of applause. But at this point in time, it's going to be a photo op. So if I may just kindly ask all the eminent and the distinguished guests to come up to the stage, and all the winners as well, so that you do have this very seminal moment well captured. Thank you. Maybe let me just clarify, it was a bit of a vague statement. So this is in reference to our high commissioners, the ambassadors, and of course the National Adjudicating Committee as well, that has worked very, very hard to make sure that tonight really becomes a reality. Oh yeah, it's the other way. Well, I know that Dr. Mike works very hard with a new entity, BMA, and well, fortunately tonight he's not chasing the rhino poachers. If he may just kindly come to the stage as well. Well, it looks like he's still engaging there in a chat. All right, Dr. Mike, I know tonight you're not chasing rhino poachers, so if you may just kindly please make your way to the stage as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, we have a request here for the National Adjudicating Committee members to stay put. They're about to get some nice goodies. So it's a very kind Friday evening here in the capital. Well, ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, thank you so much for that. How remarkable was that as the accolades were handed out to the deserving recipients who worked so hard. And I think we've done exceptionally well in our program. We've just come to an end where we're about to get the vote of thanks. And I wanted to say it's been quite a very fantastic night, really just seeing the acknowledgement of the media practitioners, especially because we do know that sometimes they work under very precarious conditions, making sure that they get stories right under very strict deadlines, especially when it comes to the cross-border stories, because at times it's not really easy to navigate the continent as a journalist with your cameras, with your gear and stuff. But to give us a vote of thanks is a man who has been here so numerous times, more than anyone else. So that is the GCIS Deputy Director General for Intergovernmental Coordination and stakeholder management. So it's still a bit caught up there and really making sure that everything is intact. So Michael, over to you once again.
Okay, let me be quick. You're getting your tax money worth tonight, guys. Out of my salary, that's what I mean. Hey, these guys. It's a great pleasure to thank people who made this event happen. I don't want to go through all of the sponsors, you guys. We've thanked you, Minister thanked you, I thank you. It can't be done without you and your dedication. Thank you very, very much. There is somebody in abstention I want to thank that I omitted in the beginning. Renee Skitter from the Gagazi Heart Media Group, who's also one of our sponsors tonight. But she's represented by Tebogo More. Tebogo, where are you, please? Can you just stand up so we can give you a shine? Thank you, Tebogo. And Tebogo, please thank Renee and your management very sincerely for partnering with us on this event. We really humbly appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to do quite a long vote of thanks, but I don't want to stand between you and what I suspect is better entertainment than me. But I must say you're a tough crowd to get a laugh out of. But anyway, I must keep practicing. But thank you to the minister who made this happen. Remember, in our space, our political principle has to always feel that we're doing the right kinds of things to give that endorsement. So, in abstention, can I please ask you to give Khumbudzo Ntshavheni a round of applause, the Minister and the Presidency. And I hope Sipho, who is a spokesperson, would convey on behalf of all of us her thanks to her and Nomonde for giving us this support. And I am sorry she couldn't be with us tonight. I think I can say for all of you, Excellencies, from the different members of the Diplomatic Corps, it's really wonderful for you to be here. I do hope that the High Commissioner of Mauritius has set the example to his colleagues to be repeat visitors next year. And we look forward, Timber. I want to make sure that next year the other gentleman and the lady to the left of me are on that list. The High Commissioner of Mauritius is setting the bar high. And I want the others to leap up on that bar. So let's give them a round of encouragement. Guys, what can we say? What can we say? Okay, he almost vanished in the blue, but luckily he's got a good smile. Kaya, I really want to thank you for availing yourself. I know people in your profile and that do these things in other ways, but you did it for us as a partner and a friend, and I'm humbly appreciative to you. And for me personally, to meet you has been a lovely experience. Yeah? And we have to have a few words because I wish you to help me with something specific. Yeah? I might help you with something too, but we'll have to work on that. But I might be in the group with them. We'll see if I give you a song or not. But I really want to point out tonight, guys, our young team at GCIS. You can see we've got quite a young team here. No? I'm the youngest of the lot, but they try and keep up with me, but some of them can and some of them can't. So I can't list every one of you tonight, but can we give the round of applause to all the team of GCIS who really pushed their weight to make tonight happen. Seppo and I had to make a leadership decision about where we could host, and thank you so much to all of you, our guests, for being willing to change venue at a relatively late hour. And I see that the vast majority of those who confirmed are here. So thank you to the Joburgers who took the Boerewors curtain by storm and came this side tonight. Thanks. So to the young team at GCIS, thank you guys for your hard work. I know that from the techies to the IT guys, you really pushed it today. But there are two colleagues that I want to single out, if I may, because these are the attitude. You see, Mike was speaking about, the kinds of integrated society we want. And the ambassadors were echoing that, commissioners. I hope our friends in the media are going to take up my challenge to keep an eye on what the IDC is doing. Because you see, The spirit and the attitude of a nation is the determining factor of a nation's success. And, you know, there are many things that people do. And Nomonde, had the minister been here tonight, I was going to abuse the age profile of my beard and say something that I can do. Firstly, also to thank you, Nomonde, so much for juggling today. Let's give her a round of applause. You wouldn't even think she was sweating. You didn't see a bead of sweat on her head as she juggled all her roles. Well done, and thank you, Nomonde. But the thing I wanted to do, colleagues, is really to affirm our future. Is that, where's Mummy? Are you there? And Paul? And Itu? And Temba? You see, guys, when I speak to you about attitude, when things are down to the crunch, and the attitude of people like Mummy, who's in my team, jumped in with Temba and Itu and Paul, and pushed with Ivan from my office. It was teamwork. And it's not their job. It's not their job. So as much as I want to praise them tonight for that, and poor Kobisa, can we just greet our CFO there, the beautiful lady in pink, who makes sure that things happen when we have to get down to the dotted line. As much as we can thank them, I want to single these 4 colleagues out, 5 colleagues out tonight, because of attitude. Because of the attitude that speaks about a national character, Mike. A national character that's going to change the trajectory of our country. And I want to really specifically tonight, and I hope somebody in Omoda tells the minister, I want to single Temba out tonight. Where are you, Temba? Tobela, where are you? No, stand up now. William? William Baloy, where are you? William Baloy? Hey, you got a fan club there, Baba Baloy. So William is the Chief Director, and thank you, William, for your partnership with the team there and the NAC guys. And he's the manager to Temba. Colleagues, I want to say to Temba, I didn't say you must sit down yet. You know, this young man took on this responsibility a few weeks ago to act in a very fundamental portfolio. And Nomonde and I can just tell you how amazed we've been at how you have breathed life into this portfolio within less than a month. And colleagues, I want to single that out. You know? Not to be arrogant or single people out, but it's because of attitude and diligence that make a difference. So, Kaya, sir, catch up, young man, but keep shining, because it's an example that I want us to infiltrate the whole public service and our society with. Kaya, thank you very much for that.
Well, thank you so much for that, Michael. Maybe just one last announcement from me. So refreshments will be served. And as you can see right in front of this particular stage, everything is set in here. So you don't have to move. It's Friday night after all, and it's a festive season. So it's time to have a joyous time. So from me, Kaya Kumalo from SABC News, thank you so much for everything. All the best.